What's the stupidest thing you ever said that genuinely made you question your intelligence? Years ago, I was watching a rugby game with 4 or 5 others in my flat over a few quiet beers. The game was being commented on by a sort of famous ex-rugby player, who was known for weird verbal gaffes, accidental double entendres, and misspeaking. Some amusing examples I found. Your first instinct when you see a man on the ground is to go down on him. Andy Ellis, the 21-year-old, who turned 22 a few weeks ago, and it's all tied up at 14 to 13. Anyway, after having a laugh or two at his expense already, he said something along the lines of, "This game is being played at a frenetic pace." Which I, and I alone, laughed heartily at. Frenetic, I said loudly, in case the others hadn't quite twigged. Did he mean frantic? Or energetic? God pick one man, ha 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 ha. No one really said anything, and I got the funny feeling I just made a twat of myself. Fortunately for me, the commentator soon made another gaffe of some sort, e.g., strangely, in slow motion replay, the ball seemed to hang in the air for even longer, and everyone forgot and moved on. I quietly looked the word up and realized I got taught a word that night that means, fast and energetic. It's been over 20 years, and I've long since lost touch with those guys, but I still remember. Back when I was working my first job at a McDonald's during high school, I was made manager, and one of my coworkers was a guy named Miles. We called him Kilometers because heard such an original joke. Anyway, one day I was grabbing a drive-through order while also trying to stock stuff, and I noticed we were out of napkins, so what I meant to say was, "Hey Miles, can you go grab us some napkins from the back real quick?" What I actually said was, "Hey napkins, can you go grab us some stuff from the back real quick?" And everyone stared, in silence. After a few seconds, Miles realized I was looking at him when I said it and said, Did you just call me napkins?" My brain went over what I just said as the embarrassment set in, and I just answered, yes. Yes, as a matter of fact, I did. His nickname was no longer Kilometers. He was Napkins from that day on. Playing table tennis with my partner and having the absolutely phenomenal brainwave of, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if this was like a game that was way bigger with a big net and you have to like run around to get the ball and oh wait, that's just tennis." Then the same week, I was holding my daughter up in front of a low fish tank, so I was squatting down and thought, it would be so helpful if someone could like something sturdy to push under you while you squat to make it more comfortable. Oh wait, that's literally a chair. Back in high school, we were learning about angular measurements. The teacher explained that the 3 main units were degrees, minutes, and seconds. He explained that there were 60 minutes to a degree and then moved on. I raised my hand, we did that in those days, and asked, how many seconds in a minute? To which both the teacher and the rest of the class looked at me like I was an idiot. In my defense, I thought that maybe angular minutes and seconds might have a different relationship to temporal minutes and seconds, and we couldn't just assume that they were the same. This happened in 1979, and I still think about it occasionally and cringe at the thought. It's wild that we don't actually know how planes work, I said to my ex-wife's boss, who was a qualified pilot, at a get-together for her work. The moment it left my mouth, I knew it was hands down the dumbest thing I'd ever said, and the look he gave me is burned into my mind forever. Even worse, as I said it, I remembered that not only do we know how planes fly, but I know and understand the physics behind it, I just had forgotten. It was like those memes where people see equations and diagrams as they are figuring out something floating around their head, but for me, I said the stupid thing, and everything about it came rushing back to me immediately afterwards, as I realized how dumb I sounded. So I patiently sat through a lecture on aerodynamics as he helpfully tried to correct me. The whole situation haunts me to this day, and it happened about 13 years ago. To the point that at least once a year, I'll remember it and consider reaching out to him. Hey man, remember when I said that fucking dumb as hell thing about planes? I do actually know how planes work. I just forgot. But then I remembered. So it's fine. I'm not an idiot, really. But then I imagine he'd just say, I know, I had to explain it to you afterwards, remember? And then I'd be like, yeah, but I remembered by then and I felt like it would be rude to interrupt you. Since I was the one who messed up in the first place, I really did understand aerodynamics. And still do, for the record. And then he'd be like, Sure you do, buddy, it's okay. How did you get this number? Oof, I can never see or talk to this man again. Okay, I am so embarrassed about this, it's funny, now. So about 20 years ago, I worked in a rehab facility. Since it was a rehab place, we had physical therapists, speech therapists, and an occupational therapist. I had been having an issue with my wrist, so I went to talk to the occupational therapist about it, just to get some advice because it had been going on for a while. We talked about my symptoms for a minute, and then he said, "Are you taking a leave?" I looked at him with wonder and said, "Well, I am going to Cedar Point next week." He meant a leave, as in the pain reliever. I thought he meant a leave, as in, are you going to take a rest or a break? OMG, I was so embarrassed. When I realized what I said, I felt like a total dumbass. It's still funny as I am thinking about it. A friend and I had returned home from the store after buying some snacks. She'd bought a bottled milkshake, and I was idly looking at the bottle when I saw the expiration date and was mortified that it was almost a whole month expired. I told my friend, and we were so angry that a store was still selling a product that was almost an entire month expired. We even took a picture of it and posted it on social media, pinging the store's account and asking how they'd gotten away with selling this for a whole month. And then some random person replied to our post, saying, "It's not expired. It expires in August. We're currently in July." Turns out I had just read the month completely wrong multiple times, and it hadn't registered. I have a lot of moments that are thoughts but not spoken. This is one instance of the thought being said out loud. Anyway, I'm at work. I work in retail, and one of our guys was building a new wooden display. He was sanding down some rough spots outside on the back dock. The sander was plugged in with a long extension cord. I was rolling a cart to the baler. In order to get to the baler, I had to roll right over the extension cord. I said out loud, "I hope his sander doesn't stop. I'm about to pinch the electricity off." For a flash of a second, I had somehow come to the conclusion that an extension cord functioned like a hose and I was about to disrupt the flow of electricity. Somehow, this escaped my normally reliable filter and became an actual utterance. I immediately started laughing at how dumb what I just said was. Coworkers started asking me what was so funny. I then told other people about this dumb thing I said. So not only did I say a stupid thing, but I also told everyone in earshot about it. Said there are 8 continents. Kept listing them, putting a finger up for each continent, and then insisting that there are 8, while looking at how my fingers only showed 7, because there are 7 continents. Took me several minutes to realize what the heck was happening. My brain just short-circuited and didn't understand the number 8. I'm a geography nerd. Another that I just remembered. I was walking into the house once singing an Eminem song, and my mom said, "Look at that white girl singing Eminem." I replied, "Eminem is also a white woman." Arguably, what my mom said is also dumb, but I think mine beats hers. Alright, so, I was working on an indie movie. We shot 2 weeks straight in a penthouse apartment. I was flat broke at the time and living with my dad, which was really far away. We were working overnights and I wasn't getting a lot of sleep, so on the second to last day, one of the producers went, "There's a bed in the apartment. If you want, just sleep there." It wasn't as good an idea as it sounds. I have insomnia, and did not have my sleeping pills on me. And again, we were working overnights, so the sun came up fast, and there were no blinds on the windows which made up 3 of the 4 walls. I slept 2 hours. As it approached the time everyone would arrive, I was utterly exhausted and preparing for a long 15-ish hour day, normal for no-budget indies. So I went downstairs to a Starbucks, except in my delirium, I entered the wrong door and found myself in a flower shop. Despite this, I went right up to the counter, blissfully unaware of my surroundings, and blurted out, "Can I have a tall black coffee?" To which the tall black woman behind the counter replied, "Excuse me." My most shameful moment goes back to when I was in middle school. It was before cell phones and just at the cusp of home internet. The house my parents had bought prior to Christmas had a second phone line installed, likely for dial-up already, and it went to my room. For Christmas, I was gifted my own phone line and phone with an answering machine. Not long after, I wanted to call my line to hear how my answering machine message sounded. So, I got the main phone and brought it to my room to call my personal line. I called from the main line, and when my phone rang, I got pissed off, thinking someone was calling to mess with me. I called again, and the same thing happened. Someone else called once again at the exact time I was testing my answering machine. On the third call, it clicked that I was, in fact, the only one calling, and nothing nefarious was happening with others calling to mess with me. It was the stupidest I have ever felt. I always call my best friend on her birthday. We've been best friends since 2nd grade and spent every birthday together until I graduated college and moved farther away. My birthday is in March, and hers is in August. One year, I gave her a call to wish her a happy birthday, and I said, "So how does it feel to be 25? She paused for an abnormally long time and then said, "I'm 26, and my mind was blown. I'm racking my brain to figure out how I didn't know we weren't the same age. Like, did I start school late? Did she start school early? How the heck did I not know my friend's age after all these years?" I'm thinking the worst friend award goes to me, and how embarrassed I am that I discovered this fact when I'm trying to wish her a happy birthday. But then I remember we were both born in 1986. So I reply, "What? No way. Dude, we are the same age." And she replies, "I know, you're also 26. She was right. We were both 26. I had just forgotten how old I was and subsequently forgot how old she was. On the upside, we laughed till we cried over it. I now double check my age every time before I call her on her birthday, just in case our age comes up and I've somehow forgotten how old we are. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on the best Reddit stories.